Now, I know as good as anybody that Amazon makes it real hard to find good movies on Prime Video, but they do have them. In this episode, I'm going to talk about over 15 total bangers that were criminally overlooked, which means we've got an eclectic list of movies here. I've got some action flicks, some high drama movies, and just some absolute stunners that never got enough love. Thanks to Magic Spoon for sponsoring this video. But my bottom pick on this list is actually a Jason Momoa action flick that feels a lot like classic action movies of the 90s.
Hi, Daddy.
Charlotte, you in the back of my truck.
Yeah.
It's very important you do not open this door unless it's for me, okay?
Okay.
All right, baby.
Braven came out just as his star was starting to rise. So before he was super famous, but he plays a father trying to defend himself and his daughter from some cartoonishly evil bad guys. As I said, it kind of reminds me of movies from the 90s, movies like Surviving the Game or Hunted with Benicio del Toro. If you like flicks like that and you're a fan of Jason Momoa, Braven's an awesome movie, just not quite awesome enough to strongly recommend if you're not into that genre or Jason Momoa. Next up, I've got a zombie apocalypse comedy that I think rivals Shaun of the Dead. It came out after, so it's a bit derivative and not quite as brilliant, but I still thoroughly enjoyed Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse.
Augie.
In this one, you follow a few Boy Scouts amidst the zombie outbreak, but this one's loaded with humor, just like Shaun of the Dead, but because you're dealing with teenage boys, there's a lot more potty humor and one just enormous dick joke in this movie. I'll say even if you've grown tired of zombie flicks, but you're in the mood for some laughs and you don't mind a juvenile sense of humor, this is still an excellent flick to pursue.
Are you a stripper?
Cocktail waitress.
My next pick is just an excellent, mysterious thriller about a magician, and the only reason I think The Illusionist was somewhat overlooked is because it came out in the shadow of a superior movie with Christopher Nolan's The Prestige. But The Illusionist stars Edward Norton, Jessica Biel, and Paul Giamatti. This one involves a bit more of a love triangle than the Christopher Nolan movie, and it's not quite a mind-bender. It's not as mind-blowing as The Prestige, but still an excellent period piece with tons of tension. I imagine if The Prestige was never released, this movie would be a lot more respected than it is. If I somehow gave you the itch to watch The Prestige, it is currently included on Hulu here in the US, a streaming service I rarely talk about because so few of you seem to subscribe to it. But next up, we've got a Christopher Walken classic that is maybe overshadowed by all the other great movies Christopher Walken has done, but one of my favorites of his is still King of New York.
You're welcome. You're welcome!
Now, in this flick, Walken plays a very successful drug kingpin who's released from prison early on in the movie, and then proceeds to attempt to completely take over the drug trade in New York City. For a movie from 1990, it's got a real stylish look to it. You also get a great role from Lawrence Fishburne in this movie. And David Caruso is kind of like a maniacal cop in this movie. It's one of my favorite roles he's ever done. You've even got Wesley Snipes and Steve Buscemi in this flick. So if you've got any love for crime movies from the 1990s, King of New York is a total gem. Now, I've got two dramas on this list from director Ridley Scott, and I think it's two of his more underrated movies. Next up, we've got one starring Russell Crowe and Leonardo DiCaprio in Body of Lies.
Rules of the day. The car gets immobilized, starts shooting, nobody gets traded, everybody dies.
Same as every day?
You got it.
DiCaprio plays a CIA agent on the ground in Jordan, hunting down a notorious terrorist leader, but he actually becomes trapped between the US government, who he answers to, and the Jordan government, who has kind of a different story to tell. Like almost every single Ridley Scott movie you can think of, the cinematography is just dialed in on this one. It's a real stunner, and it's got some pretty incredible, realistic action in it. I will say the story gets a little bit muddled. It kind of like gets slow in the middle of the story and drags out a little bit too long, but only just so, like just enough to keep this movie from being top-notch stuff. That said, it's still an excellent, realistic espionage flick. But we'll jump from that more realistic spy movie to one that is just completely over the top in all the best ways with Everly.
Mom? You need to see me so I can give you enough money for you to disappear tonight.
We are having company.
Now, this is an action movie directed by Joe Lynch. Salma Hayek is an absolute smoke show in this movie, and it all takes place in one penthouse. It's got kind of a Kill Bill vibe at times. She's sort of a renowned assassin who a bunch of people are trying to kill all at once, and she's got to defend herself in this penthouse. Shootouts, explosions, knife play, there's a grenade in the mix, samurai swords. And even though it does have its very serious moments and it's kind of bloody and intense at times, it's all done in good fun. This is just a wild ride of a movie. I'll say, if you're a fan of Salma Hayek and you've never seen Everly, put it on your list. But even if you're just a big fan of wild, over-the-top movies like Kill Bill, Everly is a total gem. Next up, we've got a Prime Video original drama starring Riz Ahmed that is still one of the best movies they've ever produced. It's titled Sound of Metal. In this movie, Riz Ahmed plays a man, actually a drummer in a metal band who suddenly begins to go deaf. And it's just a career best performance from him. Not that he does a great job at portraying a deaf person. I think just about anybody could do that, but he really portrays all the emotional highs and lows this character goes through. And it's actually a really illuminating movie. It brought a lot of things to light I had no idea about in regards to the deaf community. For instance, the way that they felt about hearing aids in this movie really surprised me. And the movie's about so much more than just his hearing loss. They tie in his past addiction and all sorts of stuff, and it makes so much sense. It's ultimately a very beautiful movie that, unfortunately, I think a lot of people missed because it was a Prime Video original. But my number 8 pick on this list is very different from anything else we've talked about so far, and it was actually written, directed by, and stars Lake Bell. It's been over 10 years, and I'm surprised she hasn't done any other movies since this, because In a World was so damn good.
In a world.
Hey, make sure your phone's turned off. I think we're getting some feedback out here.
Oh. Sorry,
Ready.
In this movie, she plays a voice actor, something she's likely done in her life for real, and the movie is about voice acting, or at least kind of a group of voice actors. She's actually trying to become kind of a famous female voice actor, like the voice in the movie trailers type of a thing. She's a woman in a man's world, like even her father does not think that she can make it, and it's really funny. It also feels pretty genuine. There is a love story involving Dimitri Martin, but this does not feel like a romantic comedy. It's more of a well-rounded dramedy that actually has a lot going for it, a bunch of funny moments, and an interesting story with kind of an excellent payoff by the end.
Can I get a smoothie around here?
I don't know where you'd get a smoothie around here at all. I'm so sorry.
Oh, okay. Thanks so much.
Yeah, no worries.
We've still got my top 7, which includes some total bangers and some honorable mentions that didn't quite squeak onto this list. Before that, I want to tell you about today's sponsor, Magic Spoon, which is a delicious high-protein treat that tastes just like breakfast cereal you remember from when you were a kid. With only 4 to 5 net grams of carbs per serving, Magic Spoon has 13 to 14 grams of protein per serving with 0 grams of sugar and no artificial flavors. Magic Spoon is also gluten-free, grain-free, and soy-free, making it very easy to incorporate into your diet. In fact, it has been my late-night treat of choice for years now. It's been a great way for me to pack on those extra grams of protein at the end of a long day while also satisfying my sweet tooth, which tends to kind of wake up late at night for some reason. And if you don't want cereal because you don't do dairy, they've got you covered. They've got treats that are very familiar and delicious, but also new granola, which I think is the most delicious thing they've released so far. I love this granola on top of Greek yogurt with a little bit of honey. It's amazing. And the granola's in nice big clusters, makes it real easy to snack on. And right now, my viewers can save $5 off their first order with Magic Spoon when they use my link in the video description or just use this QR code. If you're not sure what to get, I recommend going for a variety pack to get started. But again, you're going to save $5 off your first order when you follow one of my links here. It's also down in the video description. But speaking of things I recommend, let's get back to the movies. Now, the reason my next pick was overlooked is pretty obvious. It stars Mel Gibson, and it came out in 2012 when the whole world was still really mad at him.
Don't you hang up on me. You hang up, I'm coming over there.
Well, Mel, if you're going to threaten me, I'll just call the police.
What? Fuck you. I don't involve the police in anything because I stand up for myself. You weak You call the cops.
So I and everyone else overlooked this movie back in 2012, but it is a total banger. It's easily the best action movie he's done in the 21st century. And it's loosely based on reality, even though they definitely ham it up in a really entertaining way. But in this flick, he plays a bank robber who gets thrown into a Mexican prison, which is a wild place. I actually had to look it up when I first saw this movie. Apparently, this is a decent depiction of Mexican prisons. They're overcrowded. In fact, they're overcrowded so much that women and children live in the prisons with their husbands and fathers. But he gets thrown in, and he's kind of a MacGyver type guy. I mean, he's not making bombs out of rubber bands in this movie, but he is very crafty, and he's got something up his sleeve. He's got a plan while he's in this prison. And like I said, it ends up being an awesome action movie starring a fairly old Mel Gibson. I mean, he killed it in this movie, and I highly recommend it. And now on to that other Ridley Scott movie. An excellent drama with a star-studded cast that I think got overlooked because it originally starred Kevin Spacey, and after they had filmed the entire movie, they went back and replaced all of Spacey's scenes with Christopher Plummer in All the Money in the World. Now, this is the true story of a boy from a very wealthy family who is kidnapped, held for ransom, and his, again, extremely wealthy grandfather refuses to pay the ransom. Michelle Williams and Mark Wahlberg also star in this. And speaking of Mel Gibson, this movie actually has a lot in common with one of his biggest and best movies, Ransom. Yet, this is real stuff. It's based on a true story. Again, Ridley Scott. You've got killer cinematography, amazing performances, and honestly, just a top-notch movie that got overlooked because of all the drama behind the scenes. Now, I honestly do not know why my next pick was so overlooked. It was one of the funniest movies that came out last year. And even though we're in a society that is seemingly obsessed with race at the moment, this movie about the current state of race in America went kind of ignored. And I think it's because it holds up a mirror to some of the people that write reviews for movies.
Would you give us the pleasure of reading an excerpt?
Yo, Sharonda, girl, you be pregnant again? If I is, Ray Ray's gonna be a real father this time around.
In this movie, actor Jeffrey Wright plays a writer who's having trouble getting his work published. He gets so fed up with it, he decides to just make this racially charged book full of stereotypes, just completely steps on the gas with it, kind of as a middle finger to the publishers. And to his surprise, not only do they love it, but the public loves it. They eat it up, even though it's total garbage. Now, the movie is very funny. It's got some incredible scenes in it that I just still laugh at. It's been a while since I've seen it, and they still make me chuckle. I thought it was just a brilliant movie that got just kind of ignored due to the fact that it doesn't really have nice things to say about people who are obsessed with race.
Are those human remains? You guys have a permit for that?
Shut the f up, Philip.
Cliff, you don't talk to me like that.
You want me to beat your ass?
I'm just
Out of here, Philip. I will eat your sweater vest for dinner.
Now, my top 4 on this list are just absolute killers. Like, they're movies I recommend strongly to anyone who will listen. Before that, I want to give you some honorable mentions. Movies that didn't quite squeak onto this list. Movies like Red Dog. This is an Australian flick for dog lovers. Like, if you're a dog person, you need to see this movie. It's one of the best, like, dog companion movies I've ever seen, and here in the US at least, it's gone criminally overlooked. They've also got The Man from Nowhere, which is kind of a John Wick-style action movie, yet it's a little more melancholy and subtle. Like, it's got incredible action in it, but the story is a little bit sad in this one. And then Dog Soldiers is an epic werewolf movie. You've got a bunch of Marines out in the woods trying to defend a cabin in the woods of all places against these genetically engineered dog soldiers, like half man, half wolf things, and it's a bloody wild ride. I love that movie. It was just a little too intense for me to include on a list like this. But my number 4 pick on this list has topped previous lists. That's how good my top 4 are, and it's the first real movie Eric Bana ever starred in, and is still his best performance by like miles with Chopper.
You try getting from where you're sitting to the front door. Because I reckon I could shoot you from where you're sitting to the front door. Because that's about as long as you've got to produce some money for me right now.
This is also the first film from director Andrew Dominic, who would go on to do The Assassination of Jesse James and Killing Them Softly, both with Brad Pitt. So if you like those movies, you need to see Chopper. But in this movie, Eric Bana is playing a real guy who was famous for killing drug dealers and criminals in his area. He spent quite a lot of time in prison and was kind of a local public folk hero.
Beethoven had his critics too, Keith. See if you can name 3 of them.
He had a massive personality, and Eric Bana brings that to life. He is an absolute wild man in this movie, and the way they set this up and the way it's written, there are just some incredible scenes, like movie magic. The cinematography in this one is subtle, but I thought was just kind of stunning from scene to scene. Yet everything comes back to Eric Bana's performance. He's absolutely hilarious as this character, but he's also menacing and mysterious. I mean, my goodness, it's one of my favorite characters in a movie ever. Like, really, it's that good. Now, the movie is brutal. It is kind of a little too much to watch at times, but it's a pretty accurate depiction of this wild fella.
Why would I shoot a bloke, bang, and then put him in the bloody car and whiz him off to the hospital at 100 miles an hour? It defeats the purpose of having shot him in the first place. What's more, it's bloody insulting.
Now, my number 3 pick is a movie from France. It's got mixed language. It's got some martial arts. It's also got kind of a Hound of the Baskervilles thing going on with Brotherhood of the Wolf. Now, this is an epic movie. It's well over 2 hours. It revolves around this wolf creature that is killing people in the French countryside. A couple of mercenaries, so to speak, are brought in to help solve the case and bring down this creature. And they discover there's a lot more going on than just some monster on the loose. But what you get with Brotherhood of the Wolf is an epic period piece. It stars Vincent Cassel, Monica Bellucci. It is a monster movie, but it's also pretty sexy at times, has a fair amount of action at other times, and a unique flavor that I can't apply to like any other movie I can think of. It's that unique of a flick, but also kind of a crowd pleaser. Like, if you're the least bit interested in the way I've described it, Brotherhood of the Wolf, again, total banger. And then we've got what is probably Nicolas Cage's most underrated movie ever, Lord of War. Now, you may recall a story involving the US trading an arms dealer titled The Merchant of Death for a female basketball player. This movie is based on that guy. Now, they changed the name of the character for purposes of the movie, and it's a much more glowing look at him than you would normally look at an arms dealer. In fact, this is kind of set up like the movie Goodfellas. You're along for the ride with the criminal in this one. You're on his side. And Lord of War does a great job of doing that. Like, you understand all his motivations, you're kind of rooting for him in a sense, but also not. Like, it's a tightrope walk the movie's doing, and they nail it. There's a similar movie starring Miles Teller and Jonah Hill titled War Dogs, and while I like that one, I do think Lord of War is considerably better. It's got some amazing supporting characters, a pretty killer soundtrack, and again, kind of a Goodfellas vibe. It's not really a mob movie, but for movies outside of that genre, it's the closest thing you can get to Goodfellas.
Is this how you want to be remembered? I don't want to be remembered at all.
And then my number 1 pick is only my number 1 pick because I watched it with my family just a few months ago. Everyone loved it, and I had forgotten how solid of a flick Cinderella Man actually is. Now, I love me a good boxing movie. There are so many. You've got Raging Bull, obviously Rocky and all of its sequels, but I think Cinderella Man is up there with the best of them, and it's not really considered as such. Not only is it a great boxing movie, but it's based on a true story, and it's an amazing period piece as well. A lot of the story is about what it was like to live during the Depression era. And if you don't know the story of James Braddock, he was kind of a washed up boxer who was on welfare and was barely getting by. I mean, his family really struggles in this flick. He's given an opportunity to fight again, kind of as an exhibition type thing, basically so he can get the snot beat out of him. And he literally manages to like rise from the ashes in this movie. It's such an inspirational story. But this movie's directed by Ron Howard in just a really beautiful, breathtaking way. Even if you don't like sports movies or boxing typically, You're going to have a hard time finding a better flick on Prime Video right now. Here's a quick recap of the list. Just pause the screen if you need more time. If you're not subscribed to the channel, now's a good time to do so. You watched it to the end. If you want to see another video from me, clicking the subscribe button and the like button are a pretty good way of ensuring that YouTube is going to recommend my stuff to you again in the future. But I'm going to keep making these lists as long as y'all keep watching them. Thanks for watching this Prime Video episode, and you will see me on the next one.